When I was going to school, the goal was to come out of school with as little debt as possible. If you guys are saving, you guys are anything at all, you're way ahead. As Jeff Hill said, he said, you know what, the key is just to get in the habit of saving, even if you're only saving $3 or $4.
But after college, we recommend saving 20% of every dollar that you make after college. And that's what we recommend. You may only be able to save 10%. But we recommend 20% because if you can save 20% of every dollar you make after college and invest it wisely, you'll be able to do whatever the Lord needs you to do, and you'll be able to retire when you want to retire. So, and you stay out of debt.
And we're good examples of that because we've tried to practice what we teach. It's hard to teach this for 25 years and not do it.
Do you have a question?
Yeah.
He has a question.
Okay.
Are we supposed to pay tithing like on a gross pay or a net pay?
The question is, do you want gross blessings or do you want net blessings?
That's the question. So it's up to you. It's your choice, but that's what we do. We try to pay on our gross.
And not only to me, that's my biggest debt.
Is to the Lord.
Is to the Lord.
And He pays our tithing like early in the year for the whole year. Yeah, and I'm like, we don't even really know how much we're going to make.
But we do enough.
But He estimates
in the U.S.
And He estimates high. Drives me crazy.
Yeah. So in the U.S. what we do is there's a thing called we get a tax benefit. You guys, if you buy a stock or a mutual fund and you paid $10 for it and it's worth $20 now, if you sell it, what happens? You have to pay capital gains on the difference between the 20 and the 10.
And this is in the U.S.
In the U.S. But if I donate that using donations in kind, guess what? Guess what? How much capital gains I have to pay? 0. And do I get the full benefit of the whole $20? Yeah. So in the last 30 years, I haven't paid my tithes and offerings with cash. I paid it with appreciated securities. So that's how we pay our mission expenses. We're helping people, we're supporting people on missions, and that's how we do that. But again, what are we trying to be? We're trying to be wise stewards over the things, and that's diversion. Sorry. Okay, questions on what you do? Do you know how to use the budget spreadsheet? Again, it's a simple spreadsheet. You don't have to do it. You can use any method as long as it covers, this is my budget, this is my actual spending, and then you can talk, what did you do well and what did you do poorly?
So you have a cover sheet and a budget that's due the beginning of February.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about record keeping. Record keeping is critical. There's a principle in business that we keep good records. It's the same with us. Just a couple of insights. Number one, what records do you keep forever? What records do you keep just as long as it enforce? In the U.S., what records do you keep 7 years? And that in the U.S., the IRS can go back 7 years on your thing. So what records should you keep at least 7 years? And where do you store your records? And so we'll just hit those there. This varies country to country. But for example, what records should you keep forever and update as needed? Family history. You know, you have something that's really important. Stick it on Family Search. It'll be there for a long time. It'll be there forever. But family, personal photos, videos, start filling up your family history account. That's a great place to put things. What we do here, at least in the U.S., we recommend that once every 2 or 3 years, you just take a video camera and walk through your house. In that case, hey, what happens if the house burns down? You can go back to that video thing and you can actually see. So for insurance records and things. Life histories, again, put those up on Family Search. Social Security statement, your current year, any vaccination, and then any wills you have. We'll actually do a holographic will here in this class. But those are things that we recommend that keep forever and update as needed. How about as long as you're enforced or as long as you're the owner, any insurance contracts, vehicle titles, service contracts and warranties, any of those things. Loan documents, life insurance policies, and basically home improvement purchase records. So when you sell the house, it can reduce that. So again, some of this stuff is U.S. specific. And then what should you keep for at least 7 years? Generally, anything that you use on your taxes. So W-2 forms. If you've got large expenses, So for example, at least in the US, when we take things to a place like such as Desert Industries or Salvation Army, they'll give you those receipts, and we'll keep those for 7 years. So we can actually go back. We keep our things on Quicken, so we keep records on Quicken, so at the end of every year we print those off so we have records there too. Did you have a question?
Is there any need to keep receipts like donations if you're doing standard deduction?
If you're doing the standard deduction, you don't
No.
need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
Right.
and here we'll actually talk, for many of you international students, your taxes will be a Form 1040 NR. We'll actually work with you on how to fill that out. But you don't get as many deductions as US residents do. And then where do you keep it? Probably the most important principle is if it's important, you should keep a copy. So we will keep our copies in multiple places. We like that online storage. That's really a critical place. Okay. Questions on storage? Again, if it's not replaceable, have a copy somewhere. So for example, our wills that we have for our kids, what happens after we die, we've got those. Our children have some of those, and it's also with the lawyer too. So budgets help us to be wiser stewards, which is one of the doctrines, wiser stewards. So why do we call it saving, income, and expense planning and not just budgeting? And the reason being is too many people think a budget is just recording your expenses. You know, and it's more than that. Ben Franklin was wonderful at keeping record of everything he spent. Or maybe, I can't remember if it's or Thomas Jefferson, one of them. And the other one, he had to borrow they were in France, and he had to borrow money every 3 months just so he could get it. Budgeting is more than just keeping a record. It is planning for savings. It is planning for income. And each of you are going to need to come up with what is your saving strategy. So have you thought about that? Because that's really the goal of our budgets, is what are we going to save to accomplish our goals? Ideas. My purpose is to save, not just record expenses. Sister Sedwick and I came up, we saved 20% of every dollar after college with 15% for retirement. So 15% went to retirement.
5% went to pay for our kids' missions and college.
Education, college, and other things like here. You know, the nice thing at BYU Provo, I had them take out 20% of everything, went directly into my Roth 401k. Do you guys know the difference between, in the US, the difference between a 401k and a Roth 401k? What's the difference?
One of them you pay taxes when you put it in, and a 401k you pay tax on when you take it.
Right, so the 401k, you get a tax benefit when you put it in, but you have to pay taxes on it when you take it out. With a Roth 401k, you pay taxes on it when you put it in, but you never have to pay taxes on it again. In retirement now, which ones do you think Sister Sudwicks and I like the best?
I bet you have an IRA.
Yeah, so it's
Well,
the
we
Roth.
also have the Roth. The Roth thing. We have a lot of Roth because then we don't have to pay taxes on it now.
So we actually think anything we pull out of a 401k, which is a retirement plan for businesses, anything we pull off, that becomes our income for that year, and we have to pay taxes on it.
But right now, because we have no income coming in, they won't let us put any more money in a Roth. So anyway, we learned that.
So just figure out, putting your life on autopilot, having your bank every month take money out and just send it to your favorite mutual fund company. Things like that. The more you automate, the better you have. So that's our saving strategy. How about your income strategy? Well, the good news is you guys are here getting an education. That is, you're working on your income strategy. But
So right now, your education is your best investment right now.
Some of you might think about, hey, maybe I'm going to go on for a master's in public administration, maybe an MBA. Maybe I'll get a CFA, a chartered financial analyst, or maybe I'll be a CPA. But again, all of these things, you should be thinking about, what are you going to do going forward? How can you continue to increase your income? Mm-hmm. Sister Sedwicks and I, just been married, we were going back to Washington, D.C. to do a PhD. And my dad would give me a father's blessing every year. And he gave me a blessing, and he said something interesting. He said, I promise you that as you do what you should, you'll be able to work beyond your natural abilities. And I thought, that's cool. Heavenly Father gives us our natural abilities. Can't He help us to work beyond those? So pray daily to work beyond my natural abilities. And then we'll try to thought. I've loved computers because if I can do it faster, to automate it. I always try to see if we can do the same thing and do it better and do it faster. But go the extra mile and do more than expected. I'll improve my resume every year. Thinking about that. Again, that's your income strategy. And then you have an expense strategy. Sister Sedgwick always says, give every dollar a name. So record every dollar that I earn and spend.
But it's really important to minimize your fixed expenses and keep them low, and also, reduce your
variable expenses.
Yeah.
And then the thing too, you don't make big purchases unless it's in your plan, and not without a lot of thought and prayer from the Lord. So what are the principles and doctrines? Understand yourself, your vision and goals. Again, these first two are consistent with every single section. Then live within your means.
Keep good records.
Use a method that meets your needs. And there's lots of different budgeting methods, and we'll talk about those on Monday.
And eliminate your debt.
Yeah. We'll talk about how people borrow money they don't have to buy things they don't need to impress people who don't care. And
It's true. It's true.
And so, again, if we knew how little people thought of us, we wouldn't worry what they thought of us. And then, as our prophet said, let's think celestial. We're not just living on a budget. What are we doing?
We're children of heavenly parents with an unlimited potential, trying to be wise stewards over the things that God has blessed us with, and planning for and keeping good records of our saving, income, and expenses. This way we can save for our long-term goals, minimize our payments to others, use a method that most meets our needs so that we can accomplish our personal and family vision and goals.
That's our vision. We're not just living on a budget.
And you can use a lot of these for your PFP.
Yeah. And then you implement your SI budget. Again, the single most important tool to help you attain your personal goals. We like to say it's a star to set your sights by, not a stick to beat yourself with. Mm-hmm. Especially when you're married. Be careful we don't use these things there too. So what's the process?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So know what you want to accomplish, know and write down your vision and goals, which we're doing right now in your PFP. Remember, your PFPs were 30% of your PFP grade, so work on it every day and work on it throughout the semester. Know what you want. Do you want to graduate from college? Do you want to be a worthy spouse? Do you want to get a great job? Do you want to send your kids to college and on missions? And we ultimately want to return to our Heavenly Father.
And realize, too, I know many of you are sending money home to parents and family and friends. Those are decisions, too. We'll actually talk about that when we talk about culture, because that's a big part of many cultures.
Mm-hmm. Track your savings, income, and expenses. There's different methods. Use what works for you. But remember, you're going to have to include your budget on your in February. So you can have credit cards and checks leave a paper trail. Sometimes you use only cash, but you need to record when you're just using cash because it's harder to leave a paper trail. And we use Quicken, but it costs money. You can use YNAB, or there's some other computer programs that you can use that are free.
And what we like to do, we like it because it brings in our credit cards, automatically downloads our credit cards, and then we put them in categories. It brings in our bank statements. It automatically do those.
And he records my Venmos and all my Amazon expenses. And
Amazon Prime Budget Buster.
So, okay.
And then this was just one, it's just one tool. You don't have to use this tool, but it's a good one. For many people who haven't done a budget before, it's a good one.
And if you need help with it, if you don't quite understand how to do it all, just come in and talk to us in our office. We'll help you.
And we should finish up our interviews with everyone probably by Wednesday or Thursday of next week. And then after that, we'll be available every time. We encourage you to come by and spend time during office hours. We try to always have mangoes and nuts and candy. Again, we're not averse to bribing you guys to come in and spend time. Now, what's the old way of budgeting?
So you've got your income, you pay your tithing, pay your expenses, and then anything that's left over is personal for your personal goals, which is your savings. What's wrong with this? Go ahead. Xander? Do you have a question?
No.
Yeah, what's wrong with this way?
Jamie.
Oh, no, no.
What's wrong with that?
I think we think it in this way, okay, we spend everything expense, left over will go to saving, but I think it's better to have saving first.
Yep.
So we know how much.
Because this way, you only have one chance to have savings, and if you spend it all, you may not have any savings.
And most people, well, I've got some money in my pocket, I'm going to spend it. And so they don't have the savings.
So we're
What's
going
the
to
better
talk
way?
about the better way. So you get your income, you pay the Lord first, pay yourself second, which goes into savings. Then you pay your expenses, and then anything that's left over, then it also goes in. So you have twice the opportunity to save money in this way.
Some people say, well, what if I don't have enough money to pay my bills? Well, then think about it. Maybe you need to make some adjustments to your spending.
Yeah, Yeah, so eliminate your debt and make sure that you don't have any expenses that are not necessary.
And the thing is, bring the Lord into the decisions. I think that the Lord can help us to be wiser in our spending. And then you implement the budget, record everything, sum all your days or columns, and at the end of each week, notice what you have left. And so you can make some adjustments. We do monthly budgets in the middle. We can look at it at the midweek and middle of the month and things like that, and adjust as necessary. Do budgets have to be complex? No, they can be simple like this. Or they can be like what we have here too. Again, categories, budget column, income statement column, and this is as your income and expense log. Again, if you use this, make sure you put your name there and start with the months there.
So my takeaway is that you look to the condition of your finances. We have been counseled many years to do this. And it's a good thing to say we cannot afford it and to live within your budget.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.